everyone, and welcome to my channel. My name's Erica, and I still have a mullet. It actually looks, listen, I did try and style it just for this video, and it's like right on the fine line of like really shiny and beautiful and greasy, which is like the best I can get. So great. Yeah, so this first video is gonna be about how I got on tea, how I started tea. Figured that I was gonna jump right into like a however many months on tea video, but then I thought it might be helpful to people to know how I got on tea, because I guess how I got on tea is not how everybody gets on tea or hormones. It can be different for everybody. Yeah, long story short, I knew I wanted to go on tea probably 2 years ago. When I figured it out, it wasn't sort of like a rush to go do it. So I'm a person who things kind of have to be extreme for me to do them. I don't think that makes sense. Why? It just, the thought train has left the station. I am a person, part one. I'm a person who, if it is easier not to do something than to do something, then I won't do the something. If you didn't know, getting on testosterone or hormones in general as a trans person is hard. It typically involves money, access to money, and access to healthcare. You at least need one of those things. Not necessarily both. Both helps, as I will talk about. But yeah, so for me it was like, oh yeah, I'd like to go on tea one day. And it was just sort of like that. It was like one day, you know, it was just, you know, a fantasy, a dream, in a far off land, is Erica taking tea. So if you're a non-binary person, hormones are not necessarily like necessary, not that they're necessary if you're binary trans either, but you know, your experience might be more like, I am a man or I am a woman, and so let's get those hormones in, you know what I mean? Like, let's get it. But if you're non-binary, you might not know like what that means for your body, or what your relationship to your body is, or how you want it to change your body, or your relationship to your body. Yeah, it's kind of a lot of thinking and a lot of like figuring it out and weighing it, and you know, access and support systems are a big part of it too. But it's a lot of like asking yourself, like, what do I want? What do I like? What do I not like? Why do I not like what I don't like? So I put up with it and was sort of like, oh yeah, I'm non-binary, but I'm not gonna go through all the trouble of like doing, like, I'm not gonna like put myself through the trouble of starting tea. But then it sort of just hit me like all at once. It was like, you know what? You need to start tea right the fuck now. It was like no more, like, it's happening. It has to happen. It's gonna happen. And I was like, okay. Which is interesting because I'm not, you know, I'm not a binary trans person. I'm not a person who is trying to appear or pass as a cis man. So the testosterone is, it was strange to me how suddenly and strongly it was like, no more dilly-dallying, this is happening. But when that happened, I was like, okay, like, let's do it. Can you please? The need for hormones was outweighing the frustration and the lack of energy and drive to get them. Does that make sense? And that's the kind of person I am. Like, that has to outweigh where I'm like, finally, if I have to, then I will. Yeah, so I currently live in New York City because I'm an actor. Around, when did I start all this? January. January, I think, is what I call. So of January, I was 25, still am 25, but I was also 25 then, and still on my parents' good through their employer, Blue Cross Blue Shield insurance. But because it's out of state, the only thing that my insurance covered in New York City was mental health care. I don't know why that works the way it does, but it does. So I can get stuff covered out of network, as in out of state, for my mental health, but no physical checkups for you. So I did what I had done before with birth control, and I went to, I thought about Planned Parenthood. And Planned Parenthood is definitely an option. It's a great option, especially if you live in New York City. There's several clinics in New York City, but the problem is that not all of them do hormone therapy. Like it's just a service that not all of them provide. So it was like, that was an option. And I probably would have called them first if it wasn't, because I already had like gone there for birth control stuff before. But the reason why I didn't is because instead I knew that I had friends who had gone to Cal and Lord in New York City. So Cal and Lord is a LGBTQ plus health center. I don't know, organization, because they have multiple facilities in the Bronx and in Brooklyn and in Manhattan. And so it's basically like a Planned Parenthood, but specifically for LGBTQIA plus people, and they do a lot more than even Planned Parenthood does, because they have like dentists, that's the word. They have physical health care, they have mental health care, but you can access it at no cost to you if you don't have insurance. So obviously, like, it's a high demand service, because there are tons of LGBTQ plus people everywhere, but in New York City, who don't have health care or don't have the money or good enough health care maybe to, seek out the things that they need. I was like, okay, well, there's one in the Bronx, and so I'll call them. So I called them up, got an appointment. I think it was like April 14th, 2020. So that was like, I remember being so fucking bummed, because like I said, I hit that point where I was like, I need to go on T. I don't have like a set destination of what I want to look like or where I want to be. I don't know necessarily like all the changes it's going to give me and how I feel about them, but it's something I know that I need to explore for my mental health. So to then hear that I had to wait 3 months to get in was a bummer. Very, very much hurry up and wait right after I had realized that like this was something I wanted to do. Sometimes I just turn and look at my tea tree water Lush product on my counter, and it's just all thoughts go into that bottle of tea tree water. But if you're thinking to yourself, April of 2020, didn't an event occur then? Or, something hindering? Yeah, it sure did, because by February, we were all embroiled in the pandemic. So COVID-19 swept through New York City. And then by March, most of us were in quarantine. Late March. I was more like earlier March, because I work in the theater district, which is like our industry, which is obviously one of the biggest affected by the situation, because you can't have large group of people together. So most of us were in quarantine by then. So by March, so it was by end of March and creeping into April that I was sort of like, please just let me get this appointment so I can get this stuff going. And like right as April-ish started, my appointment got canceled. And like, I totally understood why. I was angry, but like, I wasn't a Karen about it, because I understood the reason, and like everything was getting canceled that was elective, you know what I mean? It was chaos. Still kind of is. So I sat with that for a while, and I was really upset about it, and I was most upset because I was like, I don't know when now I'm gonna be able to get an appointment, because like these clinics just sort of like shut down, you know what I mean? Anything that wasn't like life or death situation, everything else was closed. And then I got a Facebook advertisement for this thing called Mariposa Health. And I was like, ooh, what's this? So I look it up, and it's, there's an app for that, as they say, as the kids say. No one said that in like 10 years. They are a entirely virtual telehealth organization. Oh my God. That caters entirely to trans and non-binary and gender non-conforming individuals trying to access hormones. They don't work with insurance, so I would pay out of pocket $100 a month. I'm getting a rash from the stress of this video. Are you getting a rash from the stress of this video? God. So I downloaded the app and scheduled a consultation with one of the doctors, and like most of the staff and the doctors are trans, first of all, which is like revolutionary, because I mean, having a trans doctor in the world, in the real life, is not easy to come by. So that was really cool. And I did my telehealth virtual consult with Dr. Jerica, and we talked all about like tea and what tea does, and the risks and the pros and the cons, and basically assessing like where I was at and like what I was looking for and what I wanted. And we both decided that like, cool, this sounds like it'll be good for me, so I'm a good candidate. Whatever that means. Then we were gonna do the gel because I was like, I'm not thrilled about needles. But then my insurance was like, LOL, you better get comfortable with needles. Gel out of pocket without insurance was gonna be over $200, and I was like, no. So out of necessity, I ended up going to injections, which scared the fucking crap out of me. It was a whole back and forth, because in New York City, as in many other places, testosterone is a controlled substance. So they control it like it's a fucking opioid, and doctor had to call the pharmacy to talk to and be like, yes, it was me, not a robot, who sent over the prescription. Eventually it happened. Prescribed tea on May 6th, and then I actually got it and did my first shot Friday the 8th. I wanted it to be on a Friday. It felt like a good day, like a good bookend day to do tea. So yeah, we're in August now, so we're in month 4. Can you believe? Week 17. This was week 17, shot 17. Crazy, wild. I take 0.1 milliliters of tea a week, which is a very little amount. I always get confused, and I've done the calculations a million times to try and calculate the difference, milligrams, milliliters, blah, blah, blah. It seems like the average, it all depends on you as a person. So it helps that I said that I wanted to go on low dose tea, and so we started me off on basically like the lowest doses possible. Because everybody's body reacts differently to testosterone. Everyone has different amounts of testosterone in their body, especially AFAB people. Like for instance, if you have PCOS, you might have a higher level of testosterone than another AFAB person who doesn't, because that's one of the things that PCOS does. Still on it, they're not Mariposa anymore, they're Plume, and I use their app, and they're really great. I'm not paid from them to say this, I just like, they genuinely were my only option, my sort of lifesaver when it came to the fact that like this pandemic was hitting, but I also really needed to start tea for my mental health, you know what I mean? So like, you can say, oh, it's not life-saving, it's not medically necessary, and it's like, we could argue in circles all day, but hormones are medically necessary for trans people who want them. More on that later. I can contact them almost 24/7. I don't have to call them. I can just text them through the app, and someone always responds really quickly, and I can talk to my doctor through the app, and then I'm gonna get sent for labs through them soon. Yeah, and then it's also fun because they just started offering, I don't know if it's everywhere, but they just started offering, they can do surgery referral letters, and I just started the process to hopefully get a letter for my top surgery, so that's thrilling. I just want to talk about that because, again, not a lot of people I think, get their hormones this way, and especially because Plume is still very new. I think it's so great, and it's been so amazing for me. But again, like, if you don't have $100 a month to spare, like, obviously that is an obstacle. And you know, they're working on ways, as far as I know, like I've seen from their Instagram account, that they're working on ways to try and figure out like how to get people the care that they need through Plume who can't afford it, or to work with like Medicaid and insurance of some kind, and that would be great. Because, you know, $100 a month may not sound like a lot to you. For some people, that $100 a month might be even more prohibitive, and like, it's a struggle, you know. Yeah, but I just wanted to, you know, talk about that a little bit, because I started tea and have been on tea since the pandemic started, and while in quarantine. So that's how I got on tea. Click like and subscribe. If you have any comments or whatever, questions, please feel free to comment them, question them. Thank you for watching. I hope you have a lovely day. Bye.